Dummy Switch Pod, world's greatest
Yes,
rugby
sir.
podcast. How are you, Chris?
Mm-hmm. Happy, happy, happy. How are you, quarters?
Not as happy you got the win, but it was sweet, but not sweet enough. We
Yeah.
couldn't jump over that bridge. It was a bit too far.
Mm. One step too far, and we only have ourselves to blame.
And
Really,
Australia.
you know? Wow. Yeah, man. Those guys, they couldn't do us a solid there, and just be competitive at least. It's strange, especially after the hoo-ha that they made with the previous week. You'd have thought they'd bounce back and just, and help a brother out. But,
In some
it didn't go our
capacity, at
way.
least. Yeah, it was. They put us in a position. What is it, about 39 or 40 points? Doesn't
Mm.
really matter now, but something like that we had to get a victory by. And I mean, there's always going to be optimism from fans. You want your team to do the best that they can, but I think what
Yeah.
is this fifth choice fly half? It's never going to be as it's not an easy thing to ask.
Yeah, it isn't, and look, the guy doesn't pick himself, number one. Let's just put it out there. The coaches would have seen something, and thought maybe, and I think everybody, just the general consensus was, okay, experience is, has been there long enough and whatnot. But I think it proved why
Why
he
he
never
wasn't there in the
really,
first
really,
place? Yeah.
yeah, from the beginning, and even at club level, why he never really flourished there at 10. So, yeah, look, at the end of the day, we got the win, but in terms of what was required, at the end of the day, to get the championship, yeah, it wasn't the best position we found ourselves in, but again, like I say, we always go back and I say, Killer Instinct New Zealand game, first test, should have put more points on them. Second test, we shouldn't have really lost to them. No matter, I don't care what anybody says, we shouldn't have lost to them. But the fact that we did lose and we failed to even get close, we allowed them to score that last minute try, to take us out of the 7-point range. That came back to bite us. Even the loss against Australia, where the first test, we didn't put enough points on to be close enough to get the 7. So, if we look at it, it was always in our hands, and we let it go. That's the long and short of it, and it's because of the lack of a killer instinct.
Yeah, even in this game, I mean, if we dig deeper into the game, Francois Steyn, first of all, I think we saw the kicking, not kicking out, not finding touch from penalties, kicking guys in
Yeah.
the face.
Hey.
It was, and it seemed like it was all on one side of the pitch where he couldn't get it out. You'd think that they'd maybe change the kicker to say someone else with maybe a different, left foot, right foot kick type of deal. Maybe if they did that. But for me, a lot of the things, it hinged on maybe reffing. You look at the maul,
Yes.
Evan Etzebeth,
Yes.
when he got that try that was ruled out, it was Kolisi that they said transferred to. That one again, it reminds me of the URC, the Bulls Lions, where it just looked like it was a bit of a guess to me.
Yeah, look, I think at the end of the day, I think a lot of the bulk of the games in this rugby championship have been influenced by the officials, whether they want to admit it or not. And it's suspect decisions because, it just, for me, I'll go out on a limb and say this, it just appears to be that ever since that Rassie Erasmus, video with British and Irish Lions, every single Springbok try, every single, it gets scrutinized, it gets extra scrutiny, almost to try to find a reason not to award a try, or, I mean, there was an incident in the thing where, in the one line-out drive, where one of the players had his arm around Etzebeth's neck, and you think, had that been the other way around, it would have been a penalty, because we had a penalty against us in the resultant maul, if I'm not mistaken. If it wasn't, if I'm not mistaken, and it's just, the officiating is suspect, and I'm just glad that You know, they've got Nigel Owens coming in there and some guys, you know, to try and help within the URC. But in general, you know, World Rugby really need to look at, otherwise they're going to lose people watching the game. People are going to lose interest because, you know, officials are just having too much of a say. Just a bit too much.
Yeah, ref was a bit trigger happy here. There are a lot of yellow cards.
Mm.
Even in the Visa, his try getting over in the scrum. And also on that scrum, it seemed like we were dominant in the scrums throughout, but we kept on going for line and going for the maul.
Yeah.
Besides the reffing, that's the other thing for me that was a bit of a question in this game, is that decision making, particularly from, okay, I don't know how, I mean, you take it down to basic levels of rugby. It's your captain that basically makes those calls. But now we're talking about guys with headsets and guys bringing on water bottles. I mean, at that level, I don't know if it's Kolisi making those calls or if it's management, but you've got to decide to go. If you're dominant in the scrum, why not go for scrum? They went for the maul, it landed up with a turnover, you know, early stages there again. Your scrum is where you're getting the success. You've got to even think that once the Boks came under pressure at certain points in the game, there were times like that when Frans Steyn hit the penalty from halfway. We were absorbing pressure. We were under pressure. Instead of relieving that pressure and going for line, they got the 3 points, kick off, and then put us back under pressure again.
Yeah.
You know, so...
You know,
Yeah, there's times in this game where we struggled for territory. We were being pinned back. You're taking the 3 points like you're taking the 3 points like we're playing just for a flat out win. We're playing for a 40-point win here.
Yeah.
You know, it's get out, play territory, and especially when it's close to around halftime.
Yeah, that's actually a point that I wanted to touch on, is that those as much as, yes, we could, I spoke about, you know, the games against New Zealand or in Australia, you know, but as much as that was happening, it was still in our hands. You know, it was still in our hands, and I believe the last 10 minutes of the first half is where we actually also really let that championship slip, you know, through our hands, because we had put in so much pressure on Argentina, you know, in the first 30 minutes. We were really just all over them. And again, there was times where we failed to capitalize and put more points on. And then it was compounded in that last 10 minutes of that first half, where we gave them hope, we gave them energy, you know, and that belief that, okay, look, we can, you know, give these guys a run. And the pressure, they came and they put pressure, credit to them. They didn't stop. They came at the Boks, and yeah, like you say, it's the decision making to say, okay, look, are we adapting? You know, are we adapting in game? You know, to say, okay, what's going on? Even from the attack, the you know, those botched attacks that were the launches from scrum time. You know, with Dialenda and Steyn trying to come on the loop. You know, it's a thing of, okay, maybe in that instance you can still maybe play that, but rather maybe with your blind winger coming around and taking that loop and being that, you know, that distributor around. Because Mapimpi, we only saw Mapimpi late in the second half. You know, the ball hardly got to the wing. You know, it didn't move past the 12 channel. It's do you really think you're going to put 40 win a test by 40 or more points playing like that? Not really. Yes, the combinations are not settled. We understand all of that, but where's the adaptation? You know, we've seen, yes, there's the evolution of the game plan. We can see, okay, fine, there's the evolution, you know, fine. The selection, we're picking wingers in the wing, okay, maybe we must sort out at 13, you know, we must sort out at 10 as well. But at the same, there's that, you know, but now it's, where's the adaptation in game? You know, to realize, okay, what's working, what's not working, where the other ideas, you know, other players taking ownership, other players, you get to say, okay, this is not working, let's try this, let's try that, you know, to get those 40 points odd that you're trying to get, or is it just stick to the plan? You know, sticking to the plan has its benefits, but also there's also the negatives to it. And I think we're victims, a lot of the times we have been victims of our own plans, you know, without the ability to adapt to what's happening on the day, you know. But But they'll get there. The big test is going to be the November series. I think that's really the games. Ireland, France, and England. That'll tell us exactly where this team is. I don't think so much England. I won't lie. Like England, we know they'll conjure a way up to get the win, either way, whether by hook or by crook. But the Irish and the French game, for me, that will, going forward, that will be the measuring stick to see exactly where this team is and exactly what our chances will look like in the World Cup, because, it just didn't adapt in that game as much as we won. But there's a lot of things to like, yes, but there's a lot of things where you just scratch your head.
Yeah,
to say,
if you look from okay, we're under pressure there. France kicks the penalty. Then you've got second line out mistake in a row, and Argentina finds space behind Mapimpi. That's how they get their try. After halftime as well, tempo. They're the ones playing the tempo. They're the one playing that electric rugby. That the backs are. They're making you think on defense. It's not as easy as just running into. So they had that sort of play. I mean, they caught Willy Leroux 1-on-1. Sent him flying in another direction.
And
that's the thing. The box they got drawn into Argentina's game plan.
Yeah.
And it was that 20-minute period between maybe 40 to 60 minutes where they got sucked in to playing what Argentina, the way that they wanted them to play.
Yeah.
So we'll see further on in the tour if we can avoid that kind of thing from happening in the future.
Yeah, because the tempo. I was worried about the tempo because Argentina they do like to play the tempo. I was concerned about that, and when you say going forward, Ireland are also going to want to play with that tempo. I mean, that's how they caught New Zealand out. Is a lot of tempo, different type in terms of especially going through the middle and catching them off guard there. But then the way that they were able to get the speed of the ball out wide, and then of course the French are a different beast as well. They can cut you up from behind their own try line, and that's why I'm saying that yes, okay, we won and fine, but there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered. For me, as much as we've seen the evolution, yes, okay, we've seen there's positives for sure, but there's still a lot of questions.
Yeah, Evan, again, back to the ref. He was yellow there for pushing, but I mean, it could have easily been obstruction. That one is another questionable. Not sure why it's a yellow there, but I mean, refereeing is all about interpretation. I'm sure you can find that he was endangering the player there. But the yellow card that wasn't needed was Faf's. Faf, needless coming from the side. And you talk about France. I mean, Argentina here, the way that they work the overlap in I think 2 of their tries. You put us against France, they're going to do the same thing, even better. So it's these kinds of things, needless yellow cards, being able to withstand that type of tempo, that kind of play. I mean, they came back with the Mole try and the one at the end there, Jesse Creel celebrating because he finally went around the flank and spread the ball.
Finally, hats off, finally he did it, but I mean, look, we saw, the thing is, these guys, they can play, yes, but they're not complete yet, they're not complete yet. There's still a lot, tough decisions must be made, and that's what I want to see. We can't make excuses and say, no, the guys were injured, whatever. But yet at the same time, then we say, hey, we've got depth in South Africa and we've got talent, but, we're going to complain about injury.
It is just decision-making. For me, flat-out decision-making, that's where we could have done it. We were there. You're talking about 21 points. We score again. It's 21 points before halftime. It was a situation where we could have done it, but again, they're just gonna feed us this thing that we should be happy with the win. But alas,
we'll leave it at that. We'll take the win and we'll take the acknowledgement from the Bok captain that they also let themselves down in parts of this tournament. That's one thing that you can respect, is that they at least they also identify that. But hopefully, they can do better in the end of year tour. It's just got to be better, because it's not as clear cut anymore, and we're no longer going to be sitting on that, that high horse and saying, oh, we world champions. Time is ticking now, where you're going to have to really, really back it up, so they missed out on an opportunity for greatness, to be honest. And it's sad, because you would have loved it for this team, but we'll see how they go. But now it's back to URC.
Yeah, leading up to those tests, we've got URC. SA boys did us proud this weekend.
Yeah.
Sharks, great first half, and then ref controversy for themselves, bringing it back a few minutes to an obstruction call that could have also gone the other way.
No, I never thought I would ever, I almost threw my plate at the TV on Friday night. I couldn't. I was just like, what the hell is going on? You can't dish up a first half like that and then allow a team to come. For me, then there's the Sharks, as much as they're a great union and they're stacked in terms of the roster, but there's somewhere there's a problem, because it doesn't look like
there's a complacency.
We're not building, properly on the fact that, listen, we've got a stacked roster, we've got all this backing, we've got everything going for you, and how do you allow that? That's an opportunity to really put a marker down. First game of the season, put 60 on these guys. Of course, they were never going to back down. They're at home and all of that.
Yeah, and they did well against Leinster last week, to be fair, but at the same time,
you should have been expecting it. You should have had plans to prevent that from happening. You know what I mean? So, the Sharks, I know they gave me high blood pressure on Friday. I was, hey, my man. But look, we'll see how it goes. I like Ron Janssen van Rensburg. I like what he brings, and to that Sharks backline. I really like his direct running. He's always coming at pace. It's never half-hearted.
And interesting. It's at 13.
At 13, that's the thing. It'll be interesting when comes back. How that's going to work, because you've got Ben Tapuai in there as well, who's also now he's starting to. Last season he was a bit quiet.
He's going to be bench Tapuai. He's sitting on the
bench Tapuai. but it's okay. It's the first game of the season. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, even though there's some things that I'm not too like I say, we just want to see an improvement. Otherwise, there's going to be question marks around the coaching. Because like I said, you can't deliver a first half like that and then just basically implode in the second half, because that's a game that we should have lost, but we didn't, so we'll take the win. But
Stormers and Bulls also doing well. Stormers, for them, Ruas. There's a lot of guys catching up to their old form from last season. Ruas doing well. Stormers moving the ball well. Clayton Blommetjies, I felt like he had a good debut there. Only incident there with Sinatla, I think it was his shoulder and his head being hit there in a clean by Bandi Aki, who lost his head a bit.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you look at it, if you look at the position of the Jackler, the question really, I think, for me, it's a thing of, okay, you can understand what Bandi Aki, it's a contest, right? But fair enough, if you look at it, it's one that you shouldn't have even gone into, because he had already lost the contest. If you know what I mean, the contest was lost and it was needless. So it again comes down to decision making. People can complain about refereeing and whatnot, but incidents like that, that was really a decision making from him, which was poor decision making from an international. To not recognize that. Listen, he's lost the contest. Sinatla was on the ball. And it's rather unfortunate. But that being said, you have to love the way the Stormers play. You from where they come from, where we were beating them with a stick week in, week out, just to say, no, man, these guys, and look, those hidings, it seems like it's gotten them to the point where they need to be. And as much as you hate him or love him, John Dobson, whether you rate him or not, I think he's got like a good vibe and culture going there at the Stormers, because you look at a player like Hachiva Daimani, he's just on another level. Even you see the things that he brought at the Lions, but better, and you can see it's the love, man. It's like that's the thing. Even like Mani Libok, it's they're showing him the love, to say, no, we back you, we're backing you. It's they've been trusted and empowered to say, go and play, do your thing. And you can see the way that Stormers, that try that they scored, man, the way it was just hands, inside ball, keeping the ball, that was just brilliant, and I think that just shows at least that they finally found their identity. Of course, that's why they won the championship. But like now, it's just they're going in that trajectory as a franchise, and it's good to see for SA Rugby, and you be happy for them. Can't really. It's good to see they're not afraid to put the youngsters in there. That's what I like as well. The Hudsonbergs, the Ngumuzulu. The future of the Stormers, when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, okay, they're looking good. Pokomela in there, they've got guys, man. They've got guys.
Yeah, looking good for them. Lions as well, coming away 1 point victory.
Good survivors.
Yeah, Lions hanging on there. I mean, it was a change team from the week before. You've got Gianni Lombard coming in for Hendricks. You've got Nohamba coming in. It was a bit nervy, it's one of those things where like, Lions again, but then they pulled it out of the bag. The prop twins, they killed us against the Bulls, but they came up with, especially for that last try. I mean, just happy they got the win. That's all I can say. I'm just happy they got the win. And I mean, the lineup came out today and it's like they're sticking with sort of the same game plan.
Yeah. I after the Bulls game, I called. One of the things I noticed was just around selection of the Lions, and I think they've got it right, in terms of if you look at how they played. Yes, they snuck it. But remember, it's away from home, so you just take it. You take the win. Even the Sharks game, you take the win. It's away from home, fine. But this Lions team, I think the guys that they selected, this is looking more like they're getting to that level where, when in Super Rugby days where, they can't play that attacking brand. You see what Nohamba brings there. He brings energy, and for me, he's just
putting pressure on internationals like Reece Webb.
And then Gianni Lombard, it's been a long time coming for him, and I just really hope he just stays injury free, because I think we're about to see something from him. I really, really want to see. I believe that we will be seeing something from him. And you see the workhorses, Sangweni, fine, he gets a yellow card, whatever. But the only reason why I don't even think that, but he's there. He's always there. Chuchuka is working hard, So they're working hard for each other, and it's good to see. And I think from here, in terms of the selection, if they keep the same sort of majority of this team in terms of starting 15, I think they can, and they should do well. It's just, again, with all our teams, as usual, we're always calling for just consistency, just consistency.
Yeah, it looks like I think the main change is just Henko van Wyk coming back in, but they've kept the same thing. Marius Lowe is still on fraud watch, but we'll continue.
Give him another chance
to monitor the situation. We've got Bulls, Connacht, Cardiff Lions, Stormers, Edinburgh, and Dragons, Sharks. The way I see it is, it's another clean sweep for SA teams.
Yeah, I think if they just get their act together, especially the Sharks, if they get their act together, and the Lions just keep on building. We should see more of the same. The Bulls as well. You know, they had a close call as well this weekend. You know, but I mean, let's be honest.
It's Edinburgh always they're tricky for us. I feel like Edinburgh are the biggest. You can talk about Leinster and all that, but I feel like Edinburgh are the biggest threat to us in terms of they play a style of rugby that's dangerous to us.
Yes, because man, can they move the ball? You saw what they were doing to the Bulls. You know, they were turning it on and capitalizing on their opportunities. But yeah, I agree with you there. You know, it should be a clean sweep for us if the guys, you know, keep the act together. Yes, it should be a good weekend for South African rugby.